Why, hello! It is me, the genetically blessed and the green-lipped Victoria Mykles with another YouTube tutorial. This one is all about how to 3D print and creating your own jewelry. And the example that I'm giving you today is this lovely pair of sparkly earrings. Aren't they gorgeous? Yes, they are. So let's go and I'll show you how to do it.
So I tried out a lot of different programs to start with when I was learning how to use my 3D printer, and Victory is definitely the one that I thought was the easiest, particularly for like the newer stuff that I'm doing, just making sort of one-off pieces for myself and my fabulous face. It's really user-friendly and it's pretty simple. I mean, if I was doing more complicated things, I probably wouldn't use it, but for the sake of what we are doing, it does the job and it's pretty user-friendly. So first job is we are going to create a tube, and this is going to be that sort of back circle that we're going to stick the letter in front of now. If I zoom in there, you can kind of see at the moment it has got quite a few sides, so we need to up that. So we want it to be a circle, not a dodecahedron. And I'm gonna just change the height a little bit, and you can see as I swivel around, it is gorgeous. We're gonna make the inner radius of the circle a bit wider, and then we're gonna add some wording. So just select the text box and change the rotation to -90 so it lays down, and obviously get rid of the word, and we put in the letter V for victory, Victoria, vivacious, voluptuous. We're just gonna play around with the sizing and center it. And it's not centered yet, but now it is, and obviously we need to reduce the height just a smidgen because that was ridiculous. So you can see it's really quite good on Victory. It just sort of lets you see what the final product's going to look like and the rendering of it. What we're going to do is I've just copied and pasted to create, so that obviously that first piece was the base of the earring, like the one that dangles. Now we've got to create the one that sort of sits on your ear. Now I generally like these two to match, but obviously the top one is just a smaller version of the bottom one. So you can see I have created the circle, but obviously when I've reduced the size, the narrowness or the thickness of it has also reduced. So I pulled it back against the first one to just check the size of it, and I will just make them match again so it all sort of is even across the board. I pulled it back into place, and now we're going to just repeat the process with the letter V. So copying and pasting it, and then obviously dragging it up into the middle of the first circle and changing the size so it looks a bit smaller in proportion. And gonna just check the height again of it. Groundbreaking stuff that we're doing. It looks pretty good. You get the basic idea of where we're going with this. And I'm just going to change that height. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go down and change the contour offset so that the letter becomes a lot wider. And then I'm going to copy and paste another version of that V on top of itself and reduce the contour straight back down again to 0. So that way we get the heightened smaller version. Now the bottom one, that is the bigger version, if you get what I'm trying to say, the contoured fatter version, that is where we're going to be putting all the rhinestones around it. So it's kind of like a nice little outline. It's also a little bit higher than the circle, just to give that definition. Now finally what we're going to do is create the middle piece. So if I was to just leave those first two pieces that we've created, it's going to hit my face, which I don't like, so I like the extra dangle with my jewellery. So we're going to just create a plain circle that is the thickness of the circles on the bottom two pieces, so that it's going to stay the same color. It's not going to go to the color of whatever the V is going to become, and I'm just going to make sure that the height matches up. So obviously the circle, I want it to be a little bit bigger than both of the other two because it's kind of just an in the middle piece just to keep things moving, and you can see here I'm just going to change that height and make sure it lines up perfectly with the height of the other two pieces. Oh, it's just gorgeous. And then I'm going to pull it back out. Obviously, if you left it there, we'd end up with all three pieces together, but you don't want it too far away. So I normally try and keep it all close together, so then the printer has less places to have to move when printing. Now we're going to download it. So you're going to download the STL version, and from there we're just going to copy and paste two versions of it across into the cutter that I use. Now this is called Cura. Once we have those in, we're going to just change the height size, the overall proportion, down to 60%. For this particular one, if I left it 100, it would be huge. We're just going to move both copies onto the square. So that square that you can see on screen that the yellow things are sitting on, that is the actual printer. So you can only sort of play within those dimensions. And I'm going to move them as close as possible together and press slice. And you can also obviously check the different angles to make sure that it's looking good. And we're going to slice it now. And that will estimate how long it's going to take. So it's going to take around 3 hours to print, right? And from there, you're going to just save it to a USB. Now, the USB is getting moved across to the printer, which I'll go through in a second. And from here, I'm just going to set up all the different temperatures. So the nozzle, I have to 210, and the bed is going to be set on 60. And then we're going to put the USB into the machine, and from there, press print. So sorry, just loading. Here we go. So we are going to print, and it is just the top one, like the top option that comes up. Once I've refreshed it, decides to work. There we go. So you press print, and it will all sort of heat up, and it will start printing in a moment. Now the printer that I use is the Ender 5. It is a beautiful piece of machinery. I got it as a birthday or Christmas present rather from my wonderful partner, and you can see it's doing its thing. Now I've loaded orange filament originally into it. Now the filament I'm using is PLA, and I've kind of fast forwarded through this, and now we're putting the green on. So the orange has kind of done that base level, so the circles are done, and now as we're moving up into the V that sticks up above the circle, we're moving into the green filament. I really like contrasting colors, so orange and green are opposite on the color wheel, which is how I picked the second color, and now it's just going to do its thing. So the pieces are now done cooking, and you can see we've got a gorgeous V. We're now going to take the pieces and drill them on a chopping board to add holes, and then we're going to use little, I don't know, circle things that are made of metal to connect them, and then you just seal it back up. I don't really know what they're called, and I'm sorry for the camera angles. It's very hard to do these things on screen, but you can see the basic idea. We now have a fully realized earring. Now we're going to diamante them. This is where it's fabulous. So I'm using E6000 glue, glorious stuff, with a whole lot of diamonds. You can see I put the green on that little ledge and a whole lot of orange diamonds. So I'm not going to bore you or fast forward through this, but the basic idea is we're covering all the sort of areas with diamonds so that it sparkles, sparkles, sparkles. And there you go. Now finally, the last step is to add the backing to the earring. So I'm just taking, oh, she got the shivers, the shakes. I'm taking the backing, like the stem thing, with a bit of super glue, and I'm going to apply it to the back. Now, just like that. And let it dry in the view of the camera.
And here are the finished earrings on my beautiful head. Aren't they just gorgeous? I love the way that they turned out. They're so sparkly and shimmery, and they just catch the light. All up, they took me around 4.5 hours to make, with a little bit of extra time for drying off the glue. So yeah, I hope you like them, and I hope you like this video. Make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell me what you want to see next time, and come and find me on my other channels. So Instagram is Victoria Mykles or Victoria_Mykles, Facebook is Victoria Mykles Queen, and TikTok is Victoria Mykles, one word with a 0 on the end. Yes, and we'll see you next time.